Hello and welcome to Witchy Woman Podcast. I am your host, DaNae Sweet, and this is episode 112. Today we're going to talk about spiritual attacks, but we're also going to look at this through the lens of social media. We're going to kind of pick apart the advice, the posts, the bullshit that you will see on social media. I have to admit that doing this episode kind of like triggered me a whole bunch because I went through TikTok and Instagram for like hours looking at different videos from spiritualists and from witches and pagans and things like that about this particular subject. But I also got to see a lot of other just trash content in general. And it really prompted me to I think we're going to do another episode, and we're just going to dive into social media and how it is affecting new witches and the community in general, because it's, oh my God. Like halfway through the day, I just was like, oh my God. Like if I was a newer, like witch or wanted to be witch, and I was reading and listening to all this just absolute crap that is being told to these individuals online, I would be very discouraged and probably wouldn't even want to go down this path because it's so gatekeepy and fear-mongering, and that I don't know. Anyway, I think we need to dissect and pull apart and get into this subject a little more. But today I will just be talking about spiritual attacks. I am going to give practical advice, my experience with it, and I'm going to show and tell you about the posts that I found online and the misinformation that's being spread, and then we're going to correct that information so that you can be more informed. And as always, please do your own research as well. Like, don't just take my word for it. Do some of your own digging so that you can be sure what you're hearing is true or not, or useful or not. Okay? So before we get started, though, let's do some smoke cleansing. Today I'm using rosemary. I love the smell of it when it's burning. I actually cleanse my mic that I use. I cleanse the computer. I cleanse myself. And then I just let this thing burn and kind of like fill the room. It just feels really good to burn rosemary, in my opinion. So highly recommend it. You can get it just about anywhere or grow it yourself. Today, I am pulling from the Witch's Kitchen Oracle cards. I love this deck. It's got, like, on the edging, it's, like, super shiny silver, and, you know, I'm basically a magpie or a crow, so shiny equals yay for me. So, these are all herbs, and I think there's some fruits and things in here on the cards. So, let's see what we can come up with for the energy of the week. Okay, shuffle, 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 shuffle. I've had a lot of caffeine today because the time change kind of has me all wonky as far as my sleep goes. So I am trying to like talk a little slower and more intentional. But if I start rambling, I'm gonna apologize in advance. Okay, so I'm going to cut once. They're saying 3 times, so twice and 3 times. And here is our card. It's Arnica. So Arnica is this beautiful, bright yellow flower. It is amazing for, you know, the medicinal properties. It's amazing for bruising. So I see, tripping over my words already. I often make Arnica salve for bruises. I bruise very easily, especially the older I get. I don't know if it's an old lady thing or what, but I do. I bruise pretty easily, and because I'm a klutz, I do get a lot of bruises. So I will use an arnica salve with some other herbs and oils for bruising, for cuts and scrapes and abrasions. But this card says recovery. And I feel like this is our week to enjoy the energy. It's new beginnings this week. A star is coming up. We had all of this beautiful energy flowing around us, ready to jump into the new season, the new cycle. So I feel like this is our chance to like take a breath, do some self-care, and then be intentional in moving into this next cycle that we're moving into, what's ahead of us. I also want to point out that arnica, the color is yellow, and it really is a beautiful solar plexus herb to instill a little bit extra oomph into that area, maybe help you get a little more pep in your step, so you can use arnica in that way as well. Okay, so let's get into it. So there seems to be a trend on social media, especially, you know what, I'm just going to call it how I see it. I'm going to be mostly talking or directing my displeasure at witch talk on TikTok. It's a trend on social media of hexing and cursing as a means of gaining clout, as well as like some sort of posturing. Like, for example, like if you search TikTok, you'll find tons of videos that show witches doing hexes with the audio captions like, "Don't mess with a witch," or "Bitch is gonna regret," and then insert whatever atrocity this other person supposedly has done. First of all, posting hexes in progress like that is just peacocking. Like, look at me, look at me. It's saying I'm powerful and you need to see this hex to prove my witchiness and please give me likes and follows. Grr. It just, no. When you're doing that kind of spell work, or any real spell work in general, it's best not to use it to blow up your ego or to brag. And that's my opinion. Again, if you've seen any spells I have posted online, like videos or anything, they are staged to show the process. It's not the actual spell I'm doing. It is the basic bare bones version of whatever I am. My version of it is. I have special herbs that I'm not going to talk about. I have special incantations that I'm not going to post. This is my magic, and that's what makes it powerful, in my opinion. My spiritual practice is private, and when I'm actually doing it, it's a private thing. I may have a public platform, but I take what I do seriously. And that's a private matter between myself and my spirit team or whomever I am working with to help me with those spells. I want to talk about symptoms of a spiritual attack. And I wanted to go with, let's talk about the symptoms, the videos you're going to see on social media. My biggest bone to pick with all of these videos is this kind of content. Not all of these videos are going to be misinformation. There are some great creators out there, great witch talk creators, Instagram creators that I respect, and I feel like they are honest with their content. Okay, so I feel like a lot of the symptoms that creators are listing off are serious, mundane, like real life symptoms that need to be addressed by a medical doctor or a therapist first. Let's take a particular video I found when I was searching the hashtag spiritual attack on TikTok. This one had quite a few views, like a lot, and it's actually part of like the Jesus TikTok. A lot of those videos that are Christian based, they will use the hashtag witch talk so that, you know, all of us that are, you know, evil can understand that we're evil or whatever their goals are. Anyway, this particular creator of this video had 8 symptoms of a spiritual attack. Here we go. I'm going to list them all off. Number 1 was depression, then loneliness, guilt, addiction, resurfacing of emotional wounds, doubt of your faith, fatigue and lowered immune system, and loss of spiritual connection. Ugh. First of all these symptoms should raise a red flag as far as emotional wellness. The fatigue and lowered immune system symptoms should absolutely be checked out by a doctor. This creator never mentioned anything about going to the doctor or seeking mental health assistance at all. It's ignorant and dangerous advice to be slinging around without the disclaimer that these first and foremost should be addressed by a doctor and or therapist. And another thing about this video that really irked me was that all of the emotional symptoms immediately they're bad. Those are bad symptoms that makes you being a target of a spiritual attack. So if you have depression, that's not a mental illness. It's, according to them, a spiritual attack, which by default is saying, well, if you're depressed, you're under spiritual attack. You're not spiritual enough to hold it off. You're whatever. You're vulnerable. And I feel like this is a terrible message to others with mental health issues. Myself, I have depression and anxiety and some obsessive compulsions. So if I were a new witch with these mental health issues and I saw this video, whether it was a witch or a full-on Christian, I'd look at this and go, oh, so it's not normal for me to have depression or get worried about things or, feel shame. Like, those are not normal things. I'm obviously under spiritual attack. I'll stop taking my medication. Like, that's the bullshit that could happen, like worst case scenario, because of these videos. And that really is irresponsible as a creator. If you're going to be on a platform and want and work for all these likes and all these followers, I feel like that you should have a little more responsibility and a little more mindfulness in how you're creating videos like that. That's just fucked up to me. Another creator that I found a terrible video was by a spiritual teacher and psychic. And she was saying in her video about spiritual attacks that in her earlier years of spirituality, she always got choked by quote-unquote spirits when she went to the grocery store. She goes on to say that she was healed of this by setting boundaries with God. Okay, sounds like panic attacks to me. If you go shopping and every time you go you feel a loss of breath and get panicked, pretty sure my first thought would be anxiety and panic attacks. Like, talk to your doctor and find a therapist. Yes, spiritual attacks happen, but oh my God, use some common sense, please. So there's another one that I found because I wanted specifically to find some videos that were going to talk about hexing and, particularly in witchcraft, like that perspective. And I found another one and I just, So this was a video saying, it was a whole video series, I believe. And this was how to know that you've been hexed. Okay. Number one, if you get sick. That was literally a sign if you're sick. People get fucking sick. It happens. But do I do an entire full spell reversal and cord cutting every time I get sick? No. That would be overkill and a bit over obsessive. And also, that's you staying in that space of fear all the time. That's not healthy. Number two, this one, I laughed at this one. Number two, if you drink water to get your symptoms gone. So say I'm sick. I got a sore throat. If I drink some water and the symptoms don't go away, you've been hexed. What the fuck? Really? I was in the military and that was their go-to thing. You could go in with a broken fucking leg to sick bay and be like, I have a broken leg, please help me. And they would literally give you 1,600 milligram ibuprofen and tell you to drink more water. That's how crazy that, that's a little, exaggerated, but that's people, if you know, you know. Anyway, this is the kind of mentality this reminded me of. If I'm sick and I drink a bunch of water, my symptoms should go away. And if it doesn't, I guess I've been hexed. No. Fuck. Just no. Anyway. Number 3, inability to focus was their third symptom. So ADHD, lupus, other autoimmune conditions, and mental health issues cause or affect you with the inability to focus on shit. I also have ADHD. So, sometimes I can't focus. During autoimmune flare-ups for me, I get really bad brain fog. Like, I will forget what I'm saying halfway through the sentence. It's ridiculous. So go see a doctor. If you can't focus and this is a new symptom to you, go see a doctor. Number 4, negative emotions and intrusive thoughts was their symptom. So if I'm having suicidal thoughts or intrusive thoughts, I should just chalk it up to a spiritual attack, light a fucking black candle, and just go on with my day. Oh my God, no. This one in particular really pissed me off, because if you are experiencing these types of thoughts and they've become obsessive thoughts, please seek help from a mental health professional. Like, that one in particular was such bad advice. And I'm going to go into actual symptoms, and not all of these things that are being listed are bogus. They're just worded fucking terribly, and they're not putting that disclaimer out there that, hey, this is probably a mental health issue or physical health issue. First and foremost, go see a doctor. Like, they're not saying that. So I felt like number 4 really pissed me off. Anyway, number 5, that you stop praying or you stop meditating. That's a sign. Okay, not everyone is super connected and dedicated to their practice 24/7, 365. We are human. Life happens. Sometimes we get too busy. Sometimes we get sick. I mean, COVID, hello. Shit happens, okay? I went through times where I did not meditate every day, or I did not talk to and spend time with building a relationship with a deity that I worship or honor. I hate the word worship, honor. That doesn't mean I was under spiritual attack. It means that, my kid was causing a shitload of stress in the house, and everybody was, on edge and tense, and it was a stressful situation. Does not mean that I was being spiritually attacked. It just means that life happens. It also, that one in particular felt very Christian guiltic tactic-y for me. So if I'm not praying, I'm being spiritually attacked. Blaming my absence from my practice on that seems like bullshit to me. It just really does. The last one that they had mentioned was that old habits come back. So habits resurfacing, dude, that just happens. Like stress, health, mental health, and environment all have a large part to play in our habits and how good we are at keeping those habits away, not doing them. So I don't know. I felt like this one was just completely bullshit. I felt like it could easily get into somebody's head that is an addict and make them feel even worse, and not. I don't even know how I want to say this, but I just think it would be bad if you are an addict and you saw that, you're like, oh, I've been having thoughts about, just to say drinking. I'm drinking again, and this must be a spiritual attack. Therefore, I'm not going to go to AA. I'm not going to talk to my sponsor. I'm just going to light a fucking black candle and it'll be good. To me, that's very irresponsible advice. Okay, so I need to take a very quick break because I do have a sponsor for this episode. This particular episode is brought to you by Bright Witch. This is an amazing freaking company. So Bright Witch is a tea company, and the owner, Sarah Louise, is such a great creator. So she sent me a little bit about the company, and I wanted to know a little bit why she started the company. And she said for her, tea is a small ritual of love and care towards ourselves and others. And in starting Bright Witch, she wanted to create as enchanting a sensory experience as possible to truly enrich these moments. I thought that was absolutely beautiful intent. Also, all of her blends are gluten-free and vegan-friendly, which I found really, really amazing because I am trying to stay gluten-free as much as possible, and it's very hard to find tea that is labeled as gluten-free. I want to tell you about the tea. So she sent me like loads of tea. I jumped up and down like a little schoolgirl when I got the package. So my favorite so far is the Fairy Garden Blend. This one is organic green tea, papaya, and strawberry, and it is so fucking good. I'm gonna try. So the next one that I really liked, I know it's not summer solstice, but I loved this blend. This one is black tea, peach, apricot, and some florals. Which the one I had? Oh, so on the new moon, I did a whole tea ritual, and I used Midnight Cauldron. This one is black tea, sunflower, and calendula. These teas taste amazing, but the most fun part of these teas, though, is that they sparkle. They have edible sparkle dust in every one of these teas. So when you brew it, it looks magical. It looks absolutely beautiful when you are creating this experience and you have sparkly, intentional tea. I loved it. I cannot wait to try all of them. I've tried 5 of them so far, and I have loved every one of them. I have been using it as like a morning ritual before meditation. I didn't feel super good the other night, and I wanted to make sure that I could sleep. So I had one of them. This one was called Astral Dreams. It was black tea, lavender, and flower petals. I slipped into this beautiful dream state when I did that one, and it was just, I had the most prophetic dreams that night. So if you are somebody who wants to do astral projection or lucid dreaming, I really, really recommend the Astral Dreams one. I thought it was a beautiful blend. It tasted good, but I also had amazing dreams. Another thing I really liked about this is the packaging. So each of these tea canisters are tall. Like they're, I don't know, let me look. I'm really bad with like length, but these look like maybe 6-inch tall canisters. They're metal, so you can totally use these for other things. Like after I get done or use all of the tea in each of these, I can repurpose them for something else witchy. Also, in my cabinet, I have a lot of tea. These are space efficient. I was able to put them all in, and they didn't take up very much space. So I live in a tiny house, and to me, this is very valuable to have tea that I can have a lot of different varieties of, but keep them in my cabinet and not overcrowd it. Anyway. I really love it, and I want you guys to try it too. You can get a 10% discount to your cart with the code WITCHY10. You can go to brightwitch.com and search and find the blend that is right for you and your intentions that you have going on. You can also follow Bright Witch on Instagram. She has product updates as well as tiny tales for tea time fancies. I love that. Those are short and sweet stories that are perfect for tea breaks. So head over to Instagram, give her a follow at Bright Witch Brews. Also, her website again is brightwitch.com, and the code is witchy10 to get your 10% off. I will make sure that I post all of that stuff on the Witchy Woman Podcast Facebook page, as well as my Instagram and my Instagram stories. So if you miss it, if you're driving and you cannot write this down, you can get it from my social medias later. And I will make sure that I brew a beautiful cup of tea later, and I will show you the sparkly wonderfulness that this tea is. You guys got to see this. It's amazing. Said it before, and I'm basically like a magpie or a crow. Anything that's shiny, I has to have it. So this is something that I will for sure be keeping in my regular routine because it just makes tea time amazing. Okay, back to our regularly scheduled program. So I also found a creator, like this one was irritating. It was just ridiculous. One creator posted that if your deity or spirit guide shows up or appears to you, that's a sign that you've been spiritually attacked. What? So if I'm meditating at my altar, my deity's altar, and I feel like she is present, I'm being attacked then? If I'm speaking to or communicating with my spirit guides, and I feel like they're present, then I'm being spiritually attacked? That makes absolutely zero sense at all. Like, the same creator mentioned the symptoms of having intrusive thoughts, which every human has at random at some point. that is a sign of being attacked. Like, I go to therapy. This is what my therapist says about intrusive thoughts. We're human, we have them. When they become a problem is when you obsess over said intrusive thoughts. If you can't make them go away or you obsess over that thought, that is when they become a problem, and it is a sign that you need to go see a doctor, talk to your doctor about it, get a therapist. I realize that in the United States, like, mental health is kind of hard to deal with because we don't have very many resources for healthcare that's affordable. So do what you can. Talk to your doctor. There's some free clinics out there that at least maybe can give you resources to go and help you. At least tell a friend. Get some support of some sort, please. Yeah, I just felt like that advice was awful. A handful of other signs that I saw listed on videos is that if your pet or loved one dies or gets sick, you've been attacked. If you have sleep paralysis, you've been attacked, which is an old Christian BS tale about the devil getting you in your sleep, or there is myths about Lilith or other succubi getting you while you're asleep, and that's what they say sleep paralysis comes from. No, that's normal. People have sleep paralysis. It's a medical thing. Anyway, the last one that this person said was a sign is that if you have paranormal activity. Like, I can see, like, some of these are like half truths, sure, but what kind of paranormal activity? Like, what's going on? Like, they don't go into detail on any of this. And I realize TikTok is 60 seconds. It's hard to do that, but go, hey, part 2 coming, or do another follow-up to it so people have the whole story, not just these clickbait bullshit crap stories. And in my searching, I searched a whole bunch of different hashtags, like spiritual. I did hashtag spiritual. I did witch talk, witchcraft, spiritual attack, hex, curse. I searched all of those hashtags, and there's so much fear mongering. It's awful. And it's just, being on the spiritual path in general, they're just like, you should be afraid of it. I was shocked at how many creators were saying that if you decide to be spiritual, you will most definitely be attacked by spirits and other witches. What the fuck? So, gatekeeping. One person said that the moment you decide to be a witch, you are open to spiritual attacks. Anyone, regardless of faith, is open to a spiritual attack. It's not a damn guarantee, though. Like, what the fuck? One person, it really irritated me. She said that you have to be careful if you want to be a witch. And then goes on to say, if you're not careful, basically, if you don't do all of the things right, you could kill yourself. You could become unalived. What the fuck? That was one of the worst videos I saw. Like, imagine you are a new spiritual person, a new witch, a new pagan, and that's the video you see first when you start following the hashtag witch talk. I would be like, well, nope, not doing that. The fear culture in our community feels very much like how the church uses fear to control their followers. This type of behavior should 100% not be in this community. For a lot of us, we chose this path because of fear and guilt tactics within the church that we were forced to go to. New witches coming into this community and seeing TikToks and Instagram videos, Reels, whatever, IGTV, like that is damaging to their journey. Like, that's giving them witchcraft baggage. So now if they already have religious baggage, religious trauma, now they're getting witch talk, witchcraft trauma right off the bat, and it's damaging to their journey, and it's going to discourage them to be, 100% into what they want to be into. It's terrible. So stop being fucking assholes. Someone else claiming the word witch does zero harm to you. It does nothing for your life if some other person wants to claim that word witch. So stop gatekeeping this path and using fear to control and influence others. So let's take the half-truths from those videos and explain them, okay? Oh my gosh, my cats are knocking off shit. Sorry. Anyway, always look at the mundane reasonings for physical and mental or emotional symptoms and any changes that happen to yourself, your body, or your emotions. That's the first thing, okay? I feel like these creators are very irresponsible in not pointing that out. So undiagnosed physical and emotional symptoms can lead to severe consequences. So please, I'm going to list off some things that I've experienced as far as symptoms of a spiritual attack. If you are experiencing any of these symptoms that I'm going to list off, please go see a doctor, get a clean bill of health, and let's go from there. So, let's get into it. Have I been spiritually attacked before? Absolutely. Yes, I have. By humans and by other beings. And I'm not going to go too much into detail on either of those things because they don't warrant or deserve any time explaining those people or the thing. These are the symptoms that I experienced. I started forgetting names, specifically after I realized what was going on. A person that I suspected that did the attack. I could not think of their name for the fucking life of me, and this person had been in my life for at least 5 years. I could not think of their name, which was a giant red flag for me. Now, I'm going to also say that when I have a lupus flare-up, I forget shit, like ridiculously often. Like I will forget what I'm holding in my hand and what the name of it is called. And that only happens for me that bad during lupus flare-ups. So I want to, when I start doing that, I want to like check myself. Like, am I forgetting other things? Am I, like, when this happened to me, I was like, why can't I think of her fucking name? Like, what the fuck is happening? So then I was like, okay, today, how was my memory recall? Like, what was going on? Have I done this with anything else? And I had 100% not. And I just knew. But anyway. Another thing that happened to me, or a symptom, is that I stopped doing protection work, all of it. I stopped doing it all. And I almost felt repelled by the thought of doing the things that I normally do. I have a protection schedule, a ritual, something I do every week, every day. And eventually I just started doing less and less until there was nothing. And then I'd be like, oh, I really should go do this thing to, keep my protection healthy. Ouch. I just hit my ring and my finger on the table. Ow. And then I wouldn't do it. I would be like, I'll watch some Netflix instead. So, to me, that was a big sign. And each one of these things I experienced, I'm going to tell you like what I did to make sure that's what it was. So, I didn't do all the protection. I realized I hadn't done all of the things for like 2.5, 3 weeks. So once I realized this was a thing, like, oh shit, like, why do I feel repelled to do these things? Like, I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. So I sat myself down. I'm like, am I in a lupus flare-up? Am I not getting enough sleep? Am I just fucking tired? Do I have extra stress going on in my life? I would basically like take a baseline of what my life is like and see if that fits with not doing the things I should be doing. Because if I was very, very stressed out, if I was going through depression slump, if something like that was happening, that could be explained by my depression, because I get super tired, I get lazy as fuck, and I forget to do things when I'm in a depression slump. But I was not depressed at all. Okay. The next thing is loss of appetite. For me, this was a symptom. I stopped eating pretty much anything. And if I would eat, I would throw up. And if I didn't throw up, then I would have some, intestinal issues. We'll just leave it at that. I had a hard time. I actually went to the doctor and got my blood ran to see what the fuck was going on, and everything was fine. So, I was like, okay, if everything is fine, I'm not depressed, I'm actually happy and things are going well, my blood work is fine, then it must be a sign of that. And this was like a compounded, like it wasn't just this sign, it was other things too. Another one is lighting candles and incense, but they keep going out, even if there's no draft in the room. Like, cannot get a match to light, or the matches are continually breaking, the candles are just going out for no fucking reason whatsoever. That to me is a pretty strong sign that somebody's fucking with your energy. When I light a candle, I check the wick first. So mundane things. Before I light a candle, I'm gonna look at the wick. Is it super long? Because if it is, it's gonna make a really long flame and it's gonna dance and it's gonna look all spooky and cool, but that's just an aesthetic. It's not what's happening spiritually. So I will cut the wick, make sure it's down to the length it needs to be. I also look to see if the wick is in the center or damn close to the center, because that has a lot to do with how the candle burns down. If one side's farther away than the other to the glass, or if it's a pillar candle, then it would cave in on one side and possibly, the flame would go out from excess wax. So those are the things I look at. I'm not just going, oh my God, that's a sign. I recognize, that might be a sign. Let's look at the candle first. And then I go from there. So these are just some of the symptoms I've experienced. I did go to the doctor. I got checked. I also scheduled extra therapy session. When I stopped eating or my ability to eat, that really bothered me because I fucking love food. So I actually scheduled an extra session because my therapy session wasn't for another 2 weeks, and I really wanted to talk about why I can't fucking eat. So I did schedule one, and we talked about it, and we really couldn't think of anything. He's not spiritual, so he had things like, are you extra stressed? Are you having body dysmorphia, or whatever that is, that where you think you're ugly, or my weight, is it bothering me? And I was like, no, sure, I'd love to get rid of my tummy, but it's not like it's making me not want to eat. I still love food. So I did all the mundane things. And then I was like, okay, this shit is happening. So then I dealt with it. All right. But I want to show you I'm telling you, this is a podcast, not a vlog or something. Fuck. My brain is like bouncing around like crazy. So sorry. So how do I know for sure? Like, a lot of us need that visual representation that like, okay, yeah, that's happening. So first of all, my intuition had been saying it's a spiritual attack for about a month, and I totally ignored it because I felt silly and I was being paranoid, and I just kind of ignored it and did the mundane things to fix the symptoms. And I was like, who the hell am I? Like, why would anybody want to spiritually attack me? That, like, whatever, But anyway, don't ignore your gut. So I did an egg cleanse. This has its roots and origins in Central and South America. It's actually called a la limpia. It's basically a methodical way of having an egg absorb the evil eye or bad energy from your body. And then you crack the egg in clear glass, like full of water. And you read the contents intuitively and from like marked signs that you can learn about, such as bubbles. Bubbles at the top generally mean someone is envious or has thrown the evil eye or hex at you. I'm not going to go into this because it really isn't my specialty, but I did feel called to do it. Like, my spirit team was like, go get an egg. So I actually did that for myself, and I saw signs, very clear ones. It's funny, when you do this, sometimes you'll actually see letters form in in the egg goo, basically, that's in the water, and I did. Anyway, so I actually did my husband too. He came home, like, we're doing an egg cleanse. I did an egg cleanse just to kind of see if he was involved in this attack as well, and he sure as hell was. And he had been feeling very depressed, very down, snappy. He's never rude to me, ever. Like, he is the most respectful person, and for about 2 weeks, he kind of been snappy and, like, I don't know, almost like irritated with everything I did, and that just wasn't him. And to me, you know, we tried, you know, doing more things, eating healthier, because we thought, well, we don't feel good physically, maybe that's it. You know, he blamed it on his work situation, and we just left it at that. But anyway, so I did check him. He was positive for a evil eye, a hex, whatever you want to call it. So I went to work. And after we did all the stuff I did to fix it, he felt amazing. I want to talk about a few tests that I saw on TikTok, because I was there, and when I'm searching, you know, hexes and curses and stuff on social media, I found a couple different ones. The first one I saw was when your candle jar, the glass breaks. So they were saying that that's a sign that you've been hexed. And in one video, the candle wick is like way off center and right next to the side of the glass, like hella close to the glass. Fire is hot, heat expands things. Duh. That's why it broke. So that was debunked, and with common sense, you can clearly see that's why the jar broke. Another one that was in a video was to put lemon slices in rooms or areas that you feel have bad energy, or around your home if you feel like you've been hexed, or near your bed as you sleep. So they said that if it molds in a day, or kind of gets fuzzy, or turns any colors, then you've been hexed. If it just shrivels up and dries, then you're fine. So after, and they were like, they're like a day, 2 days max. So after some Googling, I found out that it is pretty average time to mold for a sliced lemon out of the refrigerator. It's going to be like 1 to 2 days. So pretty much anyone doing this will find mold or the lemon spoiling in some way, shape, or form. Unless you keep your house at like a super cold temperature, and then it might last, 36 hours. The other one was a match stick test. So you rub 2 matchsticks on yourself, and then you put them in a bowl of water. I'd never done this one. They said if they make a T, someone is in the process of hexing you, and if it makes an X, you've already been hexed. So I hadn't tried it, so I wanted to do it. So I went and got my matches, and I did it 5 times with new matches each time, and I changed out the water, because in my head I was like the stuff at the end of the match might get in the water and change the way the water is going to flow. Anyway, I did it all sciencey, same conditions for each time. And I don't know, each time it just said no, that I'm fine. One time the matches touched and made like a T. So I don't know, if you do it 5 times in a row and only one of them makes a T, for me in my instance, I was like, well, that's just probability. That to me, that was debunked. I'd also like to address witches and practitioners that do readings and then tell clients that they've been hexed, and then they follow with, I can help you with that, and it will only cost insert amount of money, whatever they're saying. All I have to say to those predators and scammers is fuck you. You don't belong in this community. Go the fuck away. That is fucked up to take advantage of people and use fear to do it for monetary gain. Like, that's unforgivable. Okay? I have a problem with any kind of scammers, but somebody manipulating people into feeling so scared that they feel like they have to have this other person fix it by giving them money, they're going to fix it. That's just awful. Okay? I get if you get a reading and somebody, your reader is like, okay, the cards are showing that somebody is definitely jealous of you, is definitely, maybe gonna, take action on that envy or jealousy. That's different. They're not asking you for money to fix this person that's, got it out for you. Anyway. I got really mad when I saw, examples of that shit, like the bad scammer predator bullshit. So sorry if I got angry there. It's awful. So, is it common to be hexed and attacked? Right? Is it as common as social media says it is? I don't think so. This is my opinion. Why, you ask? Because life. How many of you have the time to hex people properly? Like, how many of us are like, oh, that person pissed me off, I'm gonna hex them. That takes a lot of your personal energy to hex other people and to do it right. Most people are so worried and concerned about themselves and their own, like, bullshit that they've got going on that they have no time to worry about others and to hex others. We're very, social media and us, humanity in general right now in this time is pretty self-centered. So how many hexes that people actually do you think land properly on their target? Most witches I know have wards and return to sender spells in place that would make it really difficult for a spell to land on them like that. Does it happen? Yep, sure does. Happened to me. Whoever did it to me knew what they were doing and did a very methodical way of doing it. I gotta give them props for that, right? So I'm seeing this whole subculture of witches that claim to hex pretty much anyone who disagrees with them or says something bad about them. You do you, but that would get exhausting keeping up with that many hexes. Hexing on videos is basically attention. Like, look at me, look at me, look at me. I'm a powerful witch. See these black candles. Ooh, spooky aesthetic, whatever. Real hexing, in my opinion, is not done on camera. Sure, there are examples that can be shown, but the real deal from people that can execute such a spell isn't done for public consumption. I feel like most of the hexing videos going on like especially TikTok are on because of their spooky aesthetic and they get lots of views and likes because, it looks like AHS Coven, edition. But then again, you do you. I just think it's ridiculous. I stay out of the witch talk drama. I don't even know what the fuck's going on. I just start scrolling in the mornings and I'll see, now that everything's done. Like somebody on TikTok today was saying the same thing. Like they wake up and they're like, wait, there was drama? What happened? Why am I always left out of it? It's because I don't care. It's because we don't dive into that. But also because I have a life that has enough stress in it already to worry about some person on social media app not agreeing with me. Like, ugh. Okay. So how do you protect yourselves from hexes and spiritual attacks? These are the ways I use, but again, do your own research and find ways that meet your spiritual needs and life needs. Not everyone has time for a bunch of elaborate shit, So these are the things that I do to protect myself. I cleanse my home every week using smoke cleansing, sound, and essential oils. I use jewelry I've charmed for protection and wear it daily and at night. I use my connection with my guides and my deities, and I ask for their protection using home blessings, protection wards, and other spells for protection. I also use crystal grids in my home and property. Salt baths weekly to keep my aura clean and refreshed. I cleanse my technology. This is a big one, guys. I cleanse my technology that I use to browse and post on social media using smoke and crystals. So these are just, I do more, but I'm not going to expose everything I do on a large platform because that leaves me open to people who want to poke at my energy. That is something I mentioned in the last episode. You would be amazed at how many people or how many instances I feel others trying to just test my boundaries. Like, hey, I wonder if I can do this or that. I actually had a friend, somebody got on their social media page and started reading them without consent and giving them, oh, this is what's happening and blah, 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 blah. That is not okay. You can't read people or poke into their energy without consent. Most witches have a return to sender, or basically think of it like an electric fence that is their energy. And if you touch it, you get zapped. So think of it in that way. That's not exactly what it is, but think of it like that as an example, okay? So just don't. So how do you break a hex or attack on you? These are the things I have done. a return to sender spell to mirror back all that the person has sent and more. I always send it back, times whatever. Spells that involve my deity, I will use that to cleanse and protect me, as well as send back all the energy that the person has sent to me and more. I do spiritual baths. It's more than a salt bath. This is a whole ritual. I do cord cutting rituals and then a banishing if you know who it is. And there's also spells where if you don't know who it is, you can still do a cord cutting and a banishing. You can also go after them with your own hex afterwards, but I tend not to. Those people just are not worth my energy at all. I'm not going to go into details as to how I do these things in detail. I feel like that's part of your journey, to create your own spells, your own rituals, and to spend time researching these things yourself. I love helping other people. I love, referring them to somebody else that's more of an expert on whatever they're asking about than me. I love showing them books that show what they're talking about. But I am getting a lot of DMs for my spells, ones that I have in my Book of Shadows. I do not mind sharing some of them. I will say that. Some of them I don't mind sharing because they're pretty cookie cutter. They're not ones that I hold near and dear. But, I do feel it's important to empower yourself, to find some of these answers for yourself as well. I hope I didn't piss any people off by saying that, but it's just, it gets to be a lot because I want to help people in general. That's just who I am. I want to help, and I will overhelp, if that makes sense. I will enable helplessness. I do it with people in my life, my actual life here at home. I will enable people to just take what they want from me, and I overgive. So I tend to do that online as well, and I need to set that personal boundary that, yes, I will answer a question if it's a pretty, if it's something that I can answer from my experience, I totally will. If it's a spell request, I'm going to point you to probably, looking it up yourself. I have a couple spell books that I love for inspiration and creating my own. And I've said this a million times, Pinterest, which is Pinterest. Pinterest is an amazing resource. Resource? What the fuck? Resource. So, say I want an abundance spell and I don't have one. I go to Pinterest. I type in abundance spell witchcraft. Maybe that's what I type in. And I get a bunch of different results with all kinds of incantations, spells, whatever. I can look at those and then change them to fit my needs, to make them my spells then. So basically you're using the pre-made spells as framework to develop your own. And I really recommend doing that because then your spells are that much more personal and connected to you. So I guess what I want to say in the end about social media and all the fear mongering and the fear culture that is being created is we should be responsible for what we post. Yes, things can be warnings. You can post a warning, be like, hey, it's probably not the best choice to do, XYZ. Here's another choice that you could do instead. That's helpful, right? But just saying, oh my gosh, you want to be a witch? If you don't do everything right, you're going to get hexed and cursed and you could kill yourself. That's literally one of them said. You could kill yourself using witchcraft. That is one, no, just fucking no. That is things the church does. That is things organized religion does. Those are fear-mongering tactics to control and influence the masses. And we cannot let that continue. As a small creator, I don't have a huge online following, but I feel like because I have a platform, I need to be more mindful of what I post. I need to make sure that I am not posting anything to encourage this fear culture, and that I am always giving disclaimers and alternative options for things that I post. This might resonate with you, this might not. If you want to do this, this is what happened to me. Dude, I have done so many things wrong in my practice that have backfired. So I'm more than willing to share the things that I have done that got me, that came back at me and gave me a bad reaction or result. I am more than willing to share that kind of stuff, but I don't want to create fear out of it. You're going to mess up. We're fucking human. We're going to do things or spells that in hindsight maybe shouldn't have done, but it's experience. It's how you learn. It's how you gain experience, and connection to your path is trying things out and seeing if it works. If it doesn't, move on. It's okay. So I guess I'll get off my soapbox. I'm so sorry. I was so mad and passionate about this subject that I may have gotten a little angry, and I apologize for any of my outbursts or I always say fuck, but I probably said fuck a lot this episode. I should probably count. It could be like a drinking game, but I don't drink, so it would be like drinking a pop game, I guess. Well, I hope that I didn't piss too many people off. I'm sorry if I triggered you. I was obviously pretty triggered, and I hope you learned something from this episode. I hope that the next time you're on, like, say TikTok, and you see a video with advice being given, that you look at it more than once and discern whether it's good information, bad information, or somewhere in between. Like, I think discerning the content that we absorb is going to be a very important thing from now forward, because social media is very much intertwined into the witchcraft and pagan culture at the moment. So I don't think it's going away. So we might as well learn how to properly deal with all of the information that's being spouted about. I also want to share the website and the Instagram account again. Bright Witch tea was amazing. Y'all gotta try it out. I'm not saying that because this was a sponsored episode. I'm saying that because it is amazing tea, and it fucking sparkles. So find them at brightwitch.com with the discount code witchy10. Also follow them on Instagram at Bright Witch Brews. I guess that's all I have. So until next time, stay witchy. Bye-bye.